Dankey, Kang, gang. It's Comrade Dankey here with a video about guns. We're America. We love guns. I don't know about you guys, but I like to jack off with gun oil. It's the best lube. My dick smells like an armory. Pretty fucking cool, dude. Not gonna lie, that's like peak masculine form. I'm developing a bit of a rash down there. It's kind of becoming concerning. But this isn't a video about that. This is a video about guns. What's its place in the left? Should left-wingers like guns? I mean, after all, this channel's covered mass shooters of the chud variety to the point it's getting obnoxious. To the point, you know, it's shocking how much is happening, because I can't even fucking keep up. So, like, the role of guns and armaments in the proletariat struggle is obviously one as old as Marxism itself. And so, what better way to start this whole thing off than Marx himself? He's addressing the Central Committee. He says, to be able forcefully and threateningly to oppose this party, whose betrayal of the workers will begin with the very first hour of victory, the workers must be armed and organized. The whole proletariat must be armed at once with muskets, rifles, cannon, and ammunition, and the revival of the old-style citizens' militia directed against the workers must be opposed. Where the formation of this militia cannot be prevented, the workers must try to organize themselves independently as a proletarian guard, with elected leaders, their own elected general staff. They must try to place themselves not under the orders of the state authority, but of the revolutionary local councils, aka Soviets, set up by the workers. Where the workers are employed by the state, they must arm and organize themselves into special corps with elected leaders or as a part of the proletarian guard. Under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered. Any attempt to disarm the workers must be frustrated by force if necessary. The destruction of the bourgeois democrats' influence over the workers and the enforcement of conditions which will compromise the rule of bourgeois democracy, which is for the moment inevitable, and make it as difficult as possible. These are the main points which the proletariat and therefore the League must keep in mind during and after the approaching uprising. So we heard it straight from Marx's mouth, ladies and gents. He isn't saying let's go gung-ho and just give every fucking dude a gun. He's saying we need to have a proletarian guard with elected leaders and their own elected general staff, under the authority of revolutionary local councils set up by the workers, aka Soviets. Soviet-organized proletarian militias with elected leaders. That's far and away from saying let's give every Tom, Dick, and Harry who, you know, can squeeze their trigger finger, let's give everybody a gun and just have it be like the Wild fucking West out there. And just pray to God that the proletarian guard somehow manages to outgun the overwhelming number of chuds and their crazy number of guns. If there's not one thing you can take away from all my coverage of all these chud mass shooters, is that they love their motherfucking guns. They love their guns more than they love themselves, ladies and gentlemen. They fetishize their guns so much that they collect them. They are connoisseurs. And God, you know, if God willing, if a proletariat rise up does happen, and we do form some kind of Soviet organized proletarian guard, you bet your bottom fucking dollar it is going to be fought every single step of the way by the chuds who are armed to the teeth. They will make their own militias, ladies and gentlemen. They will make their own militias. If the state and the pigs won't deal with the little proletarian uprising we're trying to do, if they don't nip it in the bud first, if the feds don't nip it in the bud first, then inevitably some fucking chud militia will organize. Picture a new KKK or a sort of anti-Antifa. You know, just saying. So, do I think, and I believe I have a unique perspective on this, because I grew up, really liking guns. Now, I mean, not so much like as my brother, but I like shooting guns. I like the Ruger 1022. That was a fucking badass gun. I like shooting shotguns. I like shooting handguns at targets, not at people. But I don't give a flying fuck about owning something like that. And even if you do, you need to show some motherfucking responsibility. Put that bitch in a locker and have a trigger lock on it. Don't keep ammunition in your house. I don't know what the fuck you should do, especially if you have a kid who's posting on 8chan talking about how the Jews are rising up and shit. Maybe you should keep your guns locked. Maybe you should have a double, triple lock on that motherfucker. I'm just saying. So yeah, I keep seeing posts on leftist subreddits and stuff about how if you're a real fucking Marxist, you should support the NRA and the Second Amendment, bro, because that's just the proletariat and the workers' rights to arm themselves. Yeah, alright, dude. Here's the deal. We've got a gun problem here in the United States that affects the proletariat probably more than any fucking other time in history. Alright, if Marx was alive now, he would witness the gun violence that occur in the poor areas, the inner city areas. He will witness these mass shootings that happen on a weekly, almost daily motherfucking basis, and he would be horrified. And you bet your bottom dollar he would address the Communist League about this and say, we may need to re-examine or at least amend our policy to exclude the arming of certain anti-revolutionary elements, aka the Chuds. I don't think Marx could have envisioned, well, I mean, perhaps, I don't give him enough credit. I think he probably could have envisioned a society of Chuds, but I don't think he could have really imagined the gun crime, and of course the modern gun crime with the fucking semi-auto high-powered rifles. He couldn't have anticipated that. But needless to say, I think this general sentiment rings true. I think having a Soviet organized proletarian guard with elected leaders and their own elected general staff that absolutely won't surrender their arms under those conditions, yeah, under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered. Any attempt to disarm the workers, aka the proletarian guard organized by the Soviet, must be frustrated by force if necessary. It's all, to quote Willy Wonka, it's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. Alright? You guys who just quote this one sentence and ignore the general context in which Marx actually addressed the Communist League in 1850, shame on you, dudes. Read more theory, bitches. That's all I gotta say. Gun crime is a big problem here. And yeah, so to that, it's a huge problem. It affects my community. It affects probably your community too. It's horrible. And by shilling for the NRA, you don't do the proletariat any fucking justice, my friend. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt if you do retweet this and share the sentiment, because I mean, generally I share the sentiment too within the context of this full quote. Having lived in the South, I know what a gun culture looks like, folks, and it exists down here. Uh, and this is just a reactionary attempt to sneak this sort of gung-ho gun culture bullshit into left-wing politics. Which, in case you haven't noticed, a lot of people who should sympathize with left-wing politics are like people of color, people in the inner cities, black people, Latinos, people who are more likely to suffer from the casualties of gun crime. So, take that what you will. But that is Marx on guns, and that is me on guns. Dankey Kang gang. Stay tuned for next episode. Thank you very much for listening.